The most expensive things in your life are invisible. They don't show up on a bank statement. They don't come with an invoice. It's the meeting you sat in knowing it was pointless. It's the project you poured a year into when your gut told you in the first week it was wrong. It's the slow, quiet erosion of your life by 1,000 trivial things, 1,000 small compromises, 1,000 yeses that should have been a clear, sharp no. You feel it, don't you? A low hum of waste. A constant, nagging sense that your energy, your focus, your very life force is being siphoned away into things that do not matter. That's the bill coming due. It's a debt of years, a debt of millions of dollars in squandered potential, in ideas that died in the cradle, in the masterpiece you never had the time to create because you were too busy organizing the clutter. The real tragedy is not that we run out of time. It's that we waste so much of it. The day starts not with a thought, but with a scroll. The alarm goes off, and before your feet touch the floor, your mind is already hijacked. It's a flood of other people's emergencies, other people's opinions, other people's carefully curated happiness. You're consuming a torrent of information you didn't ask for, reacting to things that have nothing to do with your purpose. You've given the first best hour of your day to the world before you've given a single quiet minute to yourself. Then you go to work. And you are busy. So busy. Your calendar is a wall of colored blocks, a testament to your importance. Back-to-back meetings, a constant stream of emails marked urgent, notifications pinging from a dozen different apps. You feel productive because you're in motion. You're juggling. You're responding. You are a human router, directing traffic, solving minor problems, putting out small fires. You are an expert at being occupied. But at the end of the day, as you drive home in the fading light, there is a profound emptiness. You were busy, but what did you build? You answered 100 emails, but did you have a single original thought? You moved the pebbles around the mountain, but did you take one step up the slope? The exhaustion you feel is not the clean, satisfying exhaustion of a craftsman who has spent the day at his bench. It's the frayed, anxious exhaustion of a switchboard operator. It's the fatigue of the soul. And so you get home. You tell yourself tonight will be different. Tonight you'll work on that business plan. You'll write that first chapter. You'll pick up that guitar. You have this one thing, this one precious thing you want to bring into the world. But the day has taken its toll. The tank is empty. So you open your laptop, or you turn on the television, or you pick up your phone. Just for a few minutes, you say. Just to unwind. And then it's midnight. The house is quiet, and the only thing you have created is another day, identical to the last. Another 24 hours traded for what? The cycle repeats, and the years start to blur. The cost isn't just your time, it's your self-respect. I remember when I came back to Apple in 1997. It wasn't a triumphant return. It was a salvage operation. The company was 90 days from bankruptcy. It was bleeding money, but more than that, it was bleeding identity. It was drowning. When I walked the halls, I didn't see a sleek, focused company. I saw chaos. I saw a place that had forgotten how to say no. The product line was a disaster. There were dozens of different Macintosh models, Performers, Quadras, Power Macs, with a dozen different confusing numbers after their names. I'm not exaggerating. We were making computers, monitors, scanners, printers. We even made a video game console called the Pippin. It was a piece of junk. I'd ask people, smart people, talented engineers, which one should I tell my friend to buy? And they couldn't answer. They'd stammer. They'd have to look it up. If our own people didn't know what we were doing, how could we expect our customers to? The company was trying to do everything, and as a result, it was accomplishing nothing. It was busy. It was so busy. And it was dying. The pain of it was physical. This thing I had poured my life into, this company we started in a garage with a dream of making tools for the mind. It had become a bloated, confused, frightened bureaucracy. It was making products out of fear. Fear of missing a market, fear of a competitor's move, fear of not having enough options. It was a company that was constantly adding, never subtracting. And the cost was $1 billion in losses that year. The cost was its soul. I knew we didn't have years. We had weeks. The solution couldn't be a 10-point plan or a new management committee. The solution had to be brutal. It had to be simple. One afternoon, I stood in front of a whiteboard. I grabbed a marker, and I drew a simple 2x2 grid. On the top, I wrote Consumer and Pro. On the side, I wrote Desktop and Portable. I said, this is our new product strategy. 4 products. That's it. 1 great desktop for consumers, 1 great portable. 1 great desktop for professionals, 1 great portable. Everything else had to go. 70% of the product line. Gone. Projects that people had poured years of their lives into. Gone. It was a bloodbath. I had to stand in front of teams of people I respected, people who had worked their hearts out, and tell them their work, their baby, was over. It wasn't because their work was bad. It was because it didn't fit. It was because, in the grand scheme of things, it was a distraction. It was noise. You are the CEO of your own life. And your product line is a mess. You have too many features. You have too many projects running in parallel. You have too many meetings, too many commitments, too many good ideas. Me? You are trying to be a desktop and a portable and a printer and a scanner and a game console. And you are 90 days from creative and spiritual bankruptcy. The feeling you have, that constant low-grade anxiety and exhaustion, that's the feeling of a company with no strategy. That's the feeling of drowning in opportunity. What's really going wrong here? It's not that you're lazy. It's not that you lack ambition. It's that you've been taught a lie. The lie is that more is better. More options, more information, more connections, more projects, more yeses. We think of opportunity as a good thing, so we try to collect as much of it as possible. We see our lives as a process of addition. We add degrees, we add job titles, we add skills to our resume, we add friends to our networks, we add tasks to our to-do lists. But creation is not an act of addition. It is an act of subtraction. The masterpiece is not created when there is nothing more to add, but when there is nothing left to take away. Think of your life as a block of stone. Inside that stone is a sculpture. Your job is not to glue more stone onto it. Your job is to chip away, to carve, to remove everything that is not the sculpture. The problem is you're afraid to chip away. Every piece you remove feels like a loss. That maybe project, that just-in-case commitment, that might be useful someday relationship. Saying no feels like closing a door, like a missed opportunity. So you live in a fog, a thick and dense fog of good intentions, half-finished projects, and vague commitments. You can't see the path ahead because you're surrounded by the ghosts of 100 other possible paths. You can't hear your own voice, your own intuition, because of the constant chatter of 1,000 other voices telling you what you should be doing. Your attention, the most finite and precious resource you have, is fragmented into 100 tiny pieces. You're not living your life, you're managing an inventory of possibilities. And it is costing you years. It is costing you millions. The fundamental flaw is this. You are trying to organize the fog. You are buying better containers for the clutter. You are looking for a more efficient system to manage the chaos. But you cannot organize chaos. You can only eliminate it. You have to be willing to let the fog burn off, even if it means seeing a path that is narrower and steeper than you'd like. You have to be willing to have an empty desk, even if it feels unnerving at first. Clarity is not something you find. It's something you create. And you create it with a chisel, not with a shopping cart. The solution that saves you years of your life and millions in wasted effort isn't a new app or a productivity hack. It's not about waking up earlier or making a better to-do list. It's a question. A very simple, very hard question you must ask before you do anything. Before you accept a meeting, before you start a project, before you say yes to a request. The question is this essential? Not, is it a good idea? Not, could it be useful? Not, does someone else want me to do it? But, is this absolutely fundamentally essential to the one or two things that matter most? If the answer is anything less than a resounding hell yes, then the answer must be no. This single question is the filter that protects your life from the noise. It's the clarifying agent that cuts through the fog. It's the beginning of a life built on purpose, not on accident. This isn't easy, it's an act of courage. But it's the only way to do great work. It's the only way to build a life that feels like your own. There are a few principles to making this work. First, you must create space. Most people, when they feel overwhelmed, try to get organized. They download a new task manager, they buy a new planner, they create a complex system of folders and labels. They are trying to build a better cage for their clutter. This is a mistake. You don't organize clutter. You eliminate it. The goal isn't a more efficient mess. The goal is a clean, empty room. The common mistake is thinking that busyness is a prerequisite for progress. We fill our calendars to feel important. We keep every document just in case. We refuse to delete old files or throw away old projects because it feels like we're throwing away a part of ourselves. We hoard possibilities. This is driven by fear. The fear of missing out. The fear of an empty calendar, which we might mistake for an empty life. The opposite view is that empty space is the prerequisite for creation. It is the canvas on which the masterpiece is painted. It is the silence between the notes that makes the music. When we were designing the first iPod, the task was not to cram in every feature that other MP3 players had. The competition had more buttons, more settings, more options. We did the opposite. We took things away. We obsessed over removing every single thing that was not essential. The scroll wheel wasn't just a clever interface, it was the result of saying no to a dozen buttons. The clean, simple menu was the result of saying no to hundreds of possible settings. Every no made the product better. Every no made it more focused. Every no created space for the user to just enjoy their music. What does this mean for you? It means you have to become a brutal editor of your own life. Look at your calendar for next week. Find one meeting that you know, in your gut, is not essential. Decline it. Don't reschedule it. Decline it. Look at the apps on your phone's home screen. How many of them are tools for creation and how many are pits of consumption? Delete one app that steals your attention. Not move it to a folder. Delete it. Look at the commitments you've made. Is there one? A volunteer role? A side project? A social obligation that no longer serves your core purpose? Find a way to gracefully resign. Your first job is not to add a new habit. It's to subtract a commitment. Create 1 hour of empty space in your week, and just see what happens. Second, you must choose the one hill you are willing to die on. The world encourages you to hedge, to diversify your energies, to have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. People work a full-time job while running 2 side hustles, while trying to get a certification, while also vaguely training for a marathon. They think this reduces risk. If one thing fails, they have others to fall back on. This is a recipe for guaranteed mediocrity. It doesn't reduce risk, it multiplies it. By spreading your focus so thinly, you ensure that you will never achieve excellence in any one area. You will make a little progress on 5 fronts instead of making a breakthrough on one. True commitment isn't having a backup plan. True commitment is burning the boats so that the only way forward is to take the island. It's a level of focus that feels dangerous to most people. When we started Pixar, the temptation was immense. Computer animation was new. We could have made short films, commercials, software for other studios, television shows. The business school logic would have been to diversify our revenue streams. But we made a decision. We decided we were going to make the world's first full-length computer-animated feature film. That was it. That was our hill. Every dollar, every hour of render time, every line of code, every creative argument was in service of that one single, insane goal. For years, we poured everything we had into Toy Story. If it had failed, the company would have been finished. There was no plan B, but that singular, terrifying focus is precisely why. It succeeded. It forced us to be great. It forced us to solve problems that no one had ever solved before. So, what is your hill? Not your hills, plural. Your hill, singular. What is the one project, the one goal that if you accomplished it in the next 2 years would change everything for you? The one thing that both excites you and terrifies you. Is it writing a novel? Is it starting a specific business? Is it mastering a craft? Is it transforming your health? Be specific. Write it down on a piece of paper in a single sentence. I will. Hard. That is your hill. Now look at your life. Everything that is not about climbing that hill is a distraction. It might be a good, interesting, even profitable distraction. But it's still a distraction. Your job is to say no to the good, so you have the capacity to say yes to the great. Third, you must master the art of the beautiful no. Most people are terrible at saying no. They say it apologetically. They make excuses. I'm sorry, I'm just so swamped right now. This is a weak no. It implies that if you weren't busy, you'd say yes. It invites the person to come back later. Or worse, people don't say no at all. They say, let me think about it, or I'll see if I can, which is a slow, painful, dishonest yes. We do this because we are wired to be social. We don't want to disappoint people. We don't want to be seen as unhelpful or unkind. We see no as an act of rejection. You have to completely reframe this. A no is not a rejection of the other person. It is a protection of your own focus. Every time you say no to something that is not essential, you are saying a powerful, resounding yes to the one thing that is. A no is not a negative. It is the most positive strategic tool you have. It is a declaration of your priorities. It is an act of self-respect. When I returned to Apple, my calendar was instantly filled with requests. People wanted to show me their projects. Partners wanted to propose deals. Everyone had a great opportunity. I said no to almost all of them. I said no to good ideas, to talented people, to profitable ventures. I remember one of our top engineers, a brilliant guy, coming to me with a product roadmap that was excellent. It was detailed, well-researched, and full of good products. I looked at it and said, "This is great. Now show me the one you'd bet your career on." He was taken aback. The point wasn't to do a dozen good things. It was to do 1 or 2 incredible things. Saying no was the tool that cleared the space for the iMac and the iPod to be born. It wasn't about being a jerk. It was about being focused. It was about making a choice. This is how you apply it. Practice saying no without apology. The next time someone asks you to do something that is not aligned with your hill, don't make an excuse. Be calm, polite, and direct. You can say, "Thank you for thinking of me. I'm honored, but I can't do it." If they ask why, you don't need to lie and say you're busy. You can tell the truth. "I'm committing all of my spare energy to a single project right now, and I can't take on anything else." That is a beautiful no. It is honest, it is respectful, it reinforces your own. So you have the question. Is this essential? You think it's a filter, a simple tool for sorting tasks. You're wrong. It's not a filter, it's a blade, and using it for the first time will feel like an act of self-mutilation. This is the part nobody wants to talk about. The brutal cost of focus. You look at your life, your calendar, your project list. You see 100 different things. You think the goal is to organize the clutter, to find a better system, a new app, a more sophisticated workflow to manage the chaos. You are trying to build better shelving for your junk. This is a fool's errand. You cannot organize a fog. You can only dissipate it. You cannot tidy a flood. You can only build an ark and leave the rest to drown. The solution isn't management, it's elimination. The first time you hold up that blade and ask the question, is this essential? The answer for most of what you do will be a quiet, horrifying no. It's not the obviously bad things that are the problem. You know that scrolling through social media for 2 hours is waste. You know that binge-watching a mediocre TV series is an anesthetic for a life you don't want to face. That's the easy stuff. Killing your vices is simple. The real enemy, the one that will fight you to the death, is good. Good is the most dangerous force in the universe. Good is the enemy of great. Good is the plausible, the reasonable, the sensible. It's the project that might make a bit of money. The meeting that could lead to a connection. The favor for a colleague that makes you look like a team player. It's the siren song of the decent opportunity, and it will sail your ship straight into the rocks of mediocrity. You are drowning in good ideas. Your company is drowning in good products. Your life is drowning in good commitments. And the result of a life filled with good is not greatness. It's a low, relentless hum of waste. It's the fatigue of the soul. It's looking back at a year of your life and seeing a calendar full of activity but a portfolio empty of masterpieces. When I returned to Apple in 1997, the company wasn't just making bad products. That would have been easy. A bad product is a sick animal you can put out of its misery. No, Apple was making good products, decent printers, okay-ish servers. A dozen different versions of the Macintosh, each one a slight variation of the other, each one cannibalizing the next, each one defended by a well-meaning team that had poured their lives into it. They were all good, and they were killing us. My first job wasn't to invent the next big thing. My first job was to be the bad guy. It was to stand in front of 100 smart, passionate people who believed in what they were doing and tell them their work was not essential. Imagine that. Looking someone in the eye and telling them the product they've spent a year of their life on, the one they've sacrificed nights and weekends for, is being cancelled. Not because it's a piece of junk, but because it's merely good. It's a bloodbath. You make enemies. People cry, they call you a tyrant, they say you don't understand. I understood perfectly. I understood that for the iMac to be born, a dozen other computers had to die. I understood that for the iPod to exist, our work on a dozen other peripherals had to be buried. Creation is not an act of birth. It's an act of murder. You are murdering all the other possibilities. We had to decide what Apple was. We had to choose the hill we were going to die on. Everything else was a distraction. We drew the 2x2 grid. Consumer, Pro, Desktop, Portable. 4 products. That was it. Gone. Was it painful? It was brutal. But that pain was the price of clarity. That pain was the investment we made in our future. The short-term agony of saying no to a good idea is the cost of admission for the long-term glory of a great one. Now look at you. You are the CEO of your own life and your product line is a disaster. Look at your calendar for the past month. Go ahead, pull it up. Look at the meetings, the calls, the appointments, that endless stream of 30-minute blocks, the quick syncs, the check-ins, the just wanted to pick your brain coffees that siphoned an hour of your cognitive bandwidth. Hold each one up to the light. Was it essential? Not, was it nice? Not, was it interesting? Not, did it make someone happy? Was it essential? For building the one thing you are supposed to be building, Your company, your career, your legacy, your life, that's your product line. The side hustle you're dabbling in. The online course you bought but are only 10% through. The 3 books you're reading at once but never finishing. The half-hearted attempt to learn the guitar. The committee you agreed to join. They are all good ideas. They are all products in your catalog. And they are all running in parallel, draining power from your central processor, ensuring that you do a mediocre job at 10 things instead of a magnificent job at 1. This is the core of it. The universe doesn't reward the dabbler. It doesn't grant its highest prizes to the well-rounded. It reserves its masterpieces for the obsessed. The person who is willing to burn the boats, to shut the doors, to say no 1,000 times so they can give one single, earth-shattering yes. Think about the iPhone. People think it was a product of addition. They think we just kept adding features until it was done. They see it backwards. The iPhone was a product of subtraction. It was a war against features, a war against complexity, a war against the good idea. There was a massive internal push for a physical keyboard. Everyone was doing it. BlackBerry was king. It was a good idea. It was a safe bet. We said no. It wasn't essential to the vision. The vision was a single, uninterrupted slab of glass, a magical surface. A keyboard was a compromise. It was clutter. Gone. Removable battery? A good idea. Customers want it. Engineers can do it. We said no. It would have compromised the thinness, the integrity of the unibody design. It wasn't essential. Gone. SD card slot, third-party apps at launch, a file system the user could navigate? No. 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 Each no was a battle. Each no was a declaration of war against the status quo, against the reasonable, against the good. Each no was us chipping away another piece of stone, getting closer to the statue that lived inside. We weren't building a product. We were revealing it. You have to do the same. You have to start a war in your own life, a war against the tyranny of the good. It will be uncomfortable. You will disappoint people. That's the price. The person who tries to please everyone is on a fast track to pleasing no one, least of all themselves. When you say no to a non-essential request, you are not being selfish. You are being strategic. You are protecting your ability to say yes to the one thing that matters. Every time you say a weak yes, you are saying a silent no to your own masterpiece. Yes to that pointless meeting is no to an hour of deep work. Yes to that side project you don't love is no to mastering your primary craft. Yes to a social obligation you dread is no to an evening of rest that would fuel tomorrow's breakthrough. This isn't a time management problem. This is a courage problem. You are afraid. You are afraid of the silence that comes after you clear the clutter. You are afraid of the focus it demands. When there is only one thing in front of you, you have no more excuses. You can no longer hide behind the facade of being busy. You are left alone with the terrifying, exhilarating responsibility of creating something great. That is the space where real work is done. It's not in the noise. It's in the silence. It's not in the crowd. It's in the solitude. So start today. Find one thing, one commitment, one project, one meeting in your schedule. Hold it up, look it in the eye, and ask the question. Be brutal. Be honest. Is this essential? If the answer is anything but a resounding, unequivocal yes, you know what you have to do.